What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another review. So today's review is not a horror film, but it is a mystery comedy, and that film is The Happytime Murders. I remember seeing a trailer to this film earlier this year when I had the movie pass and I was seeing everything, and I was like, man, I actually want to see that. It looks pretty fun and funny. Never got around to it, so courtesy of Universal Home Entertainment, we have it here on Blu-ray, and the film follows a puppet named Phil Phillips who lives in a world of humans and puppets. So there is puppets and humans living amongst each other. There's no explanation to why or how it makes sense. Everybody just rolls with it. And he used to be a police officer. He was actually the first puppet police officer ever, but he was fired, and there was a law put in place to where puppets couldn't be police officers anymore based on his backstory of what happened, which you find out later in the film. And he is a private investigator. He gets hired to do this case when a puppet is murdered in front of him, and he quickly begins to suspect that the murder wasn't like a robbery, it was actually a hit on the puppets who were part of this puppet TV series from like 20 years ago called the Happytime Gang. So all the cast members are being picked off because there is a huge royalty type disbursement of money that is about to happen because the show got put into syndication, and he has to join up with his old partner who has beef with him over whatever happened in their past, played by Melissa McCarthy here. And that's basically your plot. Now, The Happytime Murders is 100% not a kid's film. This is an adult movie through and through. It's a rated R film, strong, crude, and sexual content, language throughout, and some drug material. So, this movie is actually pretty funny. I laughed out loud a few times. It's so funny to see these children's, Sesame Street-esque characters dropping the F-bomb. And, talking like in a sex shop, and, doing drugs and smoking, and they have such filthy mouths that it's hilarious. It's just something funny about seeing, what you would consider, Sesame Street or like the Muppets or something, and they're foul-mouthed. On top of that, the human character, Melissa McCarthy, was actually very funny in this film. I feel like she had some of the best gags in the movie. Particularly, you find out that she actually is part puppet in a way. She has a puppet liver, and she can do this puppet drug, which is like some sort of cocaine type drug, and she goes really crazy, and that's funny. There's a lot of funny jokes about her in this film that the puppets, are smart asses to her and things like that. Really funny stuff. There is some great visual gags in this film. I think some of the best comedic moments in this film come from the visual gags. Seeing puppets in these very adult settings is where the comedy really shines. At the beginning, our Phil character goes to a sex shop in part of his investigation, and there's this scene with this puppet cow that just had me rolling. It was so funny. You just have to see it. It's insane. And then the next scene that is very visual is a scene involving puppet sex. And it is absolutely hilarious. I think that was the scene that was sort of hyped up with this one. And I will say that it does live up to the hype. It is absolutely ridiculous. It's to the point where you almost can't believe this was a mainstream movie for a second. Like, you're like, wow, they really did that, huh? And this isn't like the unrated version or anything, so that was the version that they saw in theaters. There's also puppet genitals in this film, which I thought was hilarious. Overall, like, the story, though, right? Because the comedy's fun and it's funny and stuff like that, but you want to have, like, a decent story. And the story is kind of basic in a way. It seems like something that's almost like a spoof or like a parody or a satire. I know those are all three different things, but that in that vein of like a police procedural, detective narrative, stuff like that, kind of basic. But I will say this, I predicted one thing about the end, but I didn't predict the exact thing. So that was, and the reveal to it is actually the best part. The reveal to the mystery of who's doing this killings. I would say that one of the funnier things is the violence with puppets, because, you know, a puppet gets its head blown off and it's just stuffing and things like that. But all the characters react like it's, you know, brains and stuff, which is hilarious. And I the scene in the sex shop where these puppets get murdered is really funny. It's a really funny gag, man. Like that's where the like, I would say that the funniest stuff in this movie all comes from visual representation. Sure, the back and forth like F you dialogue is funny, but the visual stuff is hilarious. I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a nice break. Like, I watched probably 95% horror a year. So every once in a while to check something else out kind of reminds me that there's other stuff out there. But yeah, the Happytime Murders, really fun movie. I recommend checking it out. So I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. It's pretty cool, you know. It's cool that they did this, with the foul-mouthed puppets and stuff. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Thank you for watching. Peace out.